Is The Mandalorian the best thing to happen to the Star Wars franchise since the original trilogy, or is it just another Disney Plus cash grab? Let's break it down. Hi everyone, I'm Abdurrahman, and today I'm your host for a brand new review on one of Star Wars' most iconically known series, The Mandalorian. Before we dive in, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell so you never miss an update from Qatartainment. The Mandalorian is a Disney Plus series set in the Star Wars universe created by Jon Favreau. It falls under the sci-fi western genre, bleeding the gritty feel of classic westerns with the expansive lore of the Star Wars universe. Let's start by breaking down the key cast and the production details. Of course, you got the protagonist, the Mandalorian, Pedro Pascal, who plays Din Djarin, who also known as Mando, aka the Mandalorian, the main protagonist of the series. There's also his partner, Grogu, also known as Baby Yoda, or formerly known as, before we didn't know his name, unofficially. He is the unexpected heart of the series because he's super cute and he reminds us a lot of Yoda, hence he was called Baby Yoda. He's a Force sensitive who was training under the Jedi in Coruscant. Very powerful too. Carl Weathers, who is known as Grief Karga, who is in charge of the Bounty Hunter Guild. Din Djarin used to work for him every now and then, and they expand upon his character afterwards, and they become best friends. You also have Gina Carano, also known as Cara Dune. She was a former trooper, a shock trooper basically, and she was one of the most iconic known characters in season 1 and 2. Did not come back on season 3, but she was one of Mando's most trusted supporting characters and became very well known and became best friends as well. Giancarlo Esposito, who plays Moff Gideon, the main antagonist of the show. Moff Gideon has made it his mission to take Grogu and experiment on him. You will notice that there are many scenes. Not only is he interested in Grogu, he's also interested in Mandalore and, of course, Beskar Steel. His motives become more explanatory and more obvious as he starts drifting away from the plans of the Empire and setting on his own goals. You got some iconically known characters such as Boba Fett, who's played by Tamora Morrison. Now, Tamora also played Jango Fett in Star Wars Episode 2 Attack of the Clones. Now, because Jango Fett was the original genetic template for Boba Fett and the rest of the clone troopers, it makes sense that Tamora also plays Boba, without a doubt. Also, Rosario Dawson plays Ahsoka Tano, the former Padawan of Anakin Skywalker, aka Darth Vader. She plays a key tie-in for her show, Ahsoka, and some other tie-ins for the Rebels TV show. Now here's a brief premise of the show, which is of course spoiler-free. The show follows Din Djarin, a lone bounty hunter navigating the lawless Outer Rim. His life takes a turn when he discovers Grogu, a Force-sensitive child who becomes a responsibility. What starts as a simple mission turns into a galaxy-spanning journey that ties into the larger Star Wars universe. The first episode immediately sets the tone. Gritty, atmospheric, and loaded with Star Wars nostalgia. The introduction of Grogu at the end of the episode was a game changer, drawing in both die-hard fans and newcomers. The practical effects, combined with the digital magic, makes it feel that Star Wars was at its best. Let's start breaking down the story style and the writing style, and as the plot progresses with The Mandalorian. The series is structured like a mix between an episodic adventure and an overarching narrative. Season 1 and 2 deliver some of the best world building in Star Wars since the Clone Wars animated series. Season 1 sets up the core duo between Mando and Grogu, while establishing Din's moral code and the post-Empire galaxy. In terms of Din's moral code, it's confusing and conflicting between the way of the Mandalore and also his moral code in order to protect Grogu because he feels an attachment to him. But in Season 2, the universe expands with the introduction of Ahsoka, Boba Fett, and Luke Skywalker. And in season 3, it focuses more on the Mandalorian culture, the finding of Mandalore, rediscovering it, but it receives mixed reactions and reviews due to the shift of focus away from Grogu and Mando's core dynamic. The show heavily leans into the Western and samurai storytelling influences, particularly from the classic like The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, Lone Wolf and the Cub. Dialogue is sparse yet meaningful. Relying on subtle visual storytelling, the show also excels in balancing fan service with meaningful plot development. The return of characters like Boba Fett and Ahsoka Tano isn't just nostalgic, it serves a larger narrative purpose. It ties in to their shows, Ahsoka, and also the Book of Boba Fett. That said, some episodes in Season 3 feel like distractions from the main story, a shift that divided fans. While the writing remains strong, there's a noticeable difference in direction compared to the tightly focused first 2 seasons. Pedro Pascal brings surprising depth to Din Djarin's performance. Despite being masked for most of the show, his voice work alone conveys emotion and nuance. The Mandalorian's slow transformation from a hardened bounty hunter to a compassionate guardian makes for one of the best character arcs in recent Star Wars history. Now you got some of the characters that stand out in the show. You got Grogu, aka Baby Yoda, more than just a marketing icon. Grogu's evolving Force abilities and bond with Mando adds emotional weight to the show. Moff Gideon is a menacing villain whose strategic mind and connection to the Imperial forces and the remnants make him a formidable threat and a very, very iconic antagonist. Bo-Katan Kryze, who's played by Katie Sackhoff, the bridge between the Clone Wars animated series and the live-action storytelling. Her arc in Season 3 explores Mandalorian politics in depth. Boba Fett's return, which also ties into the Book of Boba Fett, not only the introduction of the character, is a major fan service moment done right. The very introduction of this character leads to the Book of Boba Fett spinoff. Supporting characters like Greef Karga and Pelimoto add fun and variety through some like Cara Dune, were written out abruptly due to off-screen controversies. The show uses stagecraft, a revolutionary virtual production system, creating a stunning environment without traditional green screens. The action and the fight scenes, every battle feels intense, from spaceship dogfights to hand-to-hand combat. The fight choreography, especially in Season 2, is top tier. Lulu's soundtrack blends electronic and orchestral elements, giving The Mandalorian a distinct sound while staying true to Star Wars. As much as the show was great, it also has its makes and breaks and what works and what doesn't work for it. Now, what works for The Mandalorian, it's got the strong storytelling that honors the Star Wars traditions, the fantastic action sequences and visuals, Grogu's emotional depth and significance to the franchise, expanding the Star Wars lore with characters like Ahsoka and Boba Fett, and also the cinematic level production value. And of course, the excellent use of practical effects mixed with CGI. However, the show does definitely has its downfalls, its negatives. For example, some episodes feel like filler arcs and slow down the momentum. Season 3's shift away from Din and Grogu's dynamic disappointed a lot of fans. Some character arcs feel a bit rushed, like looking at you, Moff Gideon, as well as uneven pacing in later seasons with detours that feel unnecessary. Would you consider the show a binge-worthy or a weekly watch? Mandalorian fans or Star Wars fans will feel this. The Mandalorian was released on a weekly basis, and it benefited from that format. The cliffhangers created anticipation, making it a great water cooler discussion show. However, binging the series now allows for a smoother flow of its overarching story. If you ask me who is this series for, who is its audience, who are the fans who would want to see this show? Well, first of all, if you're a Star Wars fan, this show is a must-watch. Even if you're not deep into the lore, The Mandalorian serves as a great entry point, offering both action-packed adventures and emotional depth. I'd say it's recommended for those who are fans of the classic Star Wars, the original trilogy. They will have that vibe, particularly. Also, those who love and enjoy sci-fi westerns, such as Firefly, those who are looking for well-choreographed action, as well as rich world building, this is a show for them. Now here's our final verdict. What do we think of the show? Does The Mandalorian live up to the hype of the Star Wars universe? Absolutely. It revitalized the Star Wars brand in a way that felt fresh yet familiar. While Season 3 has its bumps, the first 2 seasons are among the best Star Wars content in years. I would like to give it 9 out of 10. With Dave Filoni's upcoming Star Wars film rumored to be a Mandalorian-centered movie tying in some elements from Ahsoka and the Book of Boba Fett, we can expect major payoffs for unresolved storylines. Will Grogu become a Mandalorian Jedi? Will Thrawn's return reshape the galaxy? There's a lot to look forward to. So, what was your take on The Mandalorian? Did it meet your expectations, or were there moments that missed the mark? Did you think that our review counted and gave you the proper explanation as well as in-depth and dive-ins that you required as a Star Wars fan? Let us know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this review, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so you never miss an update from Qatartainment. May the Force be with you. This is the way.